for week 1. I think we're going to see this get more and more intense because not only are people trying to fight for that top 300, but there's also the fight for the top between players like Benji, between players like Letshi, who from their day 1 performances are trying to double that at least to try to hold on to the top spot because there is significant prizing on the line. I think it's $15,000 for first place today on EU. We're watching another early game fight here at the weather station. Finscoot does find one, but there's still another one, and that was NLE, a player that we saw a little bit of yesterday. NLO, sorry.
Finscoot got himself on the board with this forward elim. No doubt someone else is kind of running around. Goes for that reverse edit right there to try to be a big surprise, but Scoot was prepared. Gets a couple of nice hits right there. And there it is, Freddy getting sent back out of the server right there. Finscoot taking that nice 2-piece, getting himself 8 elims, and it all goes into the butterfly effect. And now we're going over to Capsino, as Monster and Shy were talking about. We're having a big day today for Capsino, sitting with 14 elims, has a nice high ground right now. And take a look at the format that you see and how important making placement plus elims. We've been talking about it throughout the entire broadcast, taking a look at the leaderboards throughout the different regions. If you could get both together, you're going to be looking very fine right now, as Capsino is doing his best to poke and prod and get himself inside of this little cabin, which was always having the Christmas trees, the Nutcracker cabin here. I've been seeing so many fun troll clips for here. Capsino's not trolling around, and he's not messing around, Baller, doing some great, fantastic pressure here on his opponent, letting him use all his resources, and there it is. Eventually, Tanks goes down to Capsino.
And that all actually stemmed from the structure itself. When he ran out, tried to get himself a little bit more space from down below as Capsino pressured him against that back wall, you couldn't actually place a floor above him. So he left that open for a second. You have to place a cone because there's already a pre-structure there. We are moving back to the agency, and we're seeing many fights where they're basically pressured into a spot where they have to move out. And you see the players reacting to this, kind of expecting when you have somebody back against the wall, their only move is to dive on you. Their only move is to push in. So if you expect that, you can pretty easily get the pre-fire shots out and the advantage in the fights. And we've seen the agency a little bit throughout this week 1. The influence of the drum gun, clear. But there's 3 players here, and this is one of the reasons why this is not one of the better spots in this week 1, is because it's so many. Every time you try to sneak out, there's another player getting ready to attack.
It's interesting, Balo. What would be a great agency run? Is it just walking out of here with that mythical weapon? Is it getting into the vault? What would be a whole waste of resources and efficiency, as we're seeing this build battle as between Zyrax and Skullwheel making a return back into the cast here? Zyrax, Skullwheel goes down right there trying to get that high ground. But what would be a failed sense, or like an opportunity for you? What's a successful agency run? Everything? The Kid Caboodle, the Vault, and the Midas Drum Gun? Or, you know, one or the other?
I think it depends a little bit on the situation, how many players are there, but it's the same as anywhere else, right? Have a good base of heals, have a good base of materials, and hopefully have good position. The great thing about the agency is even if you fight for a long time, there's plenty of positioning benefits from being there, as it's in the center of the map. Verse starts things off with a double dink. The Verse AR doing good work and following it up with a tack shot. He did get some heals off, so this isn't all the way all in yet for Verse, although he might be. As he gets him on the back foot, he's in the box now, but the edit comes through. It's a pump shots. Oh, that was risky for a second there. I thought it was going to turn the tides, but he does win out in the end, and he has the shields to get right back into it.
Verse pretty much sending Mitch on Instagram. Hey, that's the branding we're talking about, baby. Hey, you want to use the name changes, put your Instagrams and whatnot. But Sezo TV here with 7 points in day 2 has another, I think that's Scully, attacking him right now. Now Sezo's on the defense, loses piece control right in front of him, so now he's doing all his best didn't have that camera advantage that we all want, and Skol does what he does best, getting 15 limbs, but another challenger enters the fray. The third party is here to try to steal, catch someone with their hand in the cookie jar, and it is Flame on the high ground. But that's what we talked about in the last time broadcast there, Bala. Even though you may feel like you have someone at a disadvantage, and Flame realizing that, like, wait a minute, I don't have the surprise attack anymore, I'm going to go ahead and back off.
And the key thing for third parties there is listening and making sure that they know what's happening in that fight, know whether damage has been exchanged so that it will be a positive and easy look in. Milan, we saw a little bit earlier in the broadcast, somebody who was out of contention, trying to make his way in. He's at 33 points right now, possibly around 80 combined. But he played so aggressively, and yes, he got the eliminations, which is probably why he's at 33 points, but fell because of how many strong players were right next to him. I think he ran into Blackie, he ran into Camo, and because of that, he's still stuck down a little bit, so needs to have a strong performance today to get through. So far, though, I think it's pretty good with the 33 points after probably 2 or 3 games by Milan so far.
No doubt Milan trying to do a better performance as day one. He catches them right there and is rewarded with floppers. You talk about the day one performance of Milan. He had 63 points, so already he is outpacing himself. He's going to be doing very well today in day two, and we're seeing that in these with all these top level players, that the day two, they're figuring out what they wanted to do. They no doubt went into the VOD reviews. That's always important. Bala, yourself doing those VOD reviews out there on your YouTube. I got to pump you up, gas you up too as well. You know, those, it's so important as any pro at any video game to look and judge yourself and critique yourself to see where are the holes in your game, as Otav is doing his best looking for the holes in his opponent's game, trying to get in that piece control, trying to use that attack as a way to break down the builds as hard mats is going out and we have a battle for high ground. Otav might go for the chop here, looking his best to try to get this opponent down to his layer. Almost catches him. There, he pops him right there, and that it looks like that was almost one of those situations, but Otav gets surprised again, Bala, and now we have that third party, as you mentioned, the other opponent listening right on cue, noticing that Otav did take some damage, and now we have that opportunity. As I like this box fighting here, Bala. I like it, trying to get the little piece of that corner.
Yeah, just that one edit piece. Trying to break it from a range where Kaizen can't shoot back, and we have seen Kaizen's partner fighting around Misty Meadows against Milan earlier in the day. That's Blackie from Squads. And he is in this fight. 2 French players, I believe, or French-speaking players, I think, from Otav and Kaizen. Kaizen, you remember him from the duos, had so many strong performances and was one of the more consistent players with Clement. Now in solos. See what he can do right now. He's definitely putting the heat onto Otav.
Otav trying to do his best to survive this third party. It's interesting. We've talked about it earlier. Blackie actually has a tendency to third party. He did that in the previous game. He kind of sniffs around and listens with his ears, of course, to find that opportunity. He is an opportunist, and he's going to have this opportunity to get the 4 points, and he does. Actually, that was Kaizen. I'm sorry. Kaizen, the opportunist in this fight. Blackie was around, sniffing around, so it's very important to see how many of these engagements, and actually that was a very high engagement. Last time that was a detriment to the previous match that we saw here on the broadcast, as 4K is looking for an opportunity to get some damage on Kaizen.
And the way that happened for Kaizen, you were mentioning how he started to approach that. It was from height, but that fight went so high, as you pointed out, that it was kind of awkward. He was trying to surprise them from that high elevation, but in that case, it overtook him, and he had to come from down below, so the surprise factor was no longer there. Here's his tactic, Sancho. You played in NA West yesterday. We were talking about getting easy rides to placement points. I'm going to put you on blast. You might hype me up, but no. Monkey Man 613 is in the shack, and this is what I'm going to call the Sancho Cheese Classic.
Listen here, brother, when you have bushes available, when you have little corners to chill in, this is free placement points and a heavy change of the tournament, man. That's what you got to do. do not look at my stats because I was just trying to get a vibe of it. I mean, I am in the NA West Invitational invitee, but I try not to be a free 4-pointer. But yeah, man, this is smart. This is what Shio likes to call positioning, and this is very prime positioning here for Monkey Man. He finished the day one with 21 points, already doing really well in day two. Poof, pow, surprise! Monkey Man jumps out and grabs that banana that he's been looking for. 24 points, but hey, you see what I'm saying? It works. It works, Bala. It works.
Absolutely, it does. That was great for Monkey Man. Knowing that the zone was going to come in this direction, knowing that somebody would peek their head into a shack that, or a small house that has the door closed, that the loot is still available on the floor. And one thing that he did that was really nice in that fight, not super complex, but he uses SMG to start. And when the stair came up, he actually switched so that there was a full clip available to continue spraying through once he got through the stairs, and there's nothing you could do. You see the tail end of another SMG spray in what looks like a very similar situation optically. It's the player there. And both of those guys around the 20-point mark. And I'm wondering if that is their day two score. So possibly, if we're thinking of day two, if they performed in the same fashion in day one, they might be on pace to qualify in the top 300 right now.
And that's all is the name of the game today. Just get to the top 300 so you have another week to get into the top 80. And of course, if your day ends today, you still have an opportunity in the rebound. Monkey Man now out of the cabin, ready to attack with the confidence, going full aggro right here, trying to get himself into the box with brute force here. There it is. He got right in there, and there it is. You mentioned right there, Bala, having that SMG fully loaded and gets us Saiyans right and out of the server. And he has Midas' drum gun. So I'm expecting Monkey Man to go full King Kong on the rest of this lobby.